You're listening to the Every Student, Every Day podcast with me, Jim Franchini, Superintendent of the Averill Park Central School District. Welcome to this episode of the Every Student, Every Day podcast. As we often like to do and have done in the past, we like to showcase our students and some of the great things they are doing. And this one is perfectly timed as it will go public and drop on February 3rd. Later this week, actually in just a few days from when this will drop, we are excited for the latest production by our Off-Broadway Players, OBP as they're called. Drama in the Den will premiere on Thursday night, the 6th. There's a showing on Friday the 7th and a showing on Saturday the 8th. No Sunday. Try a little something different, which is exciting. And we thought as a way to celebrate and promote this event, we'd have some of our students as well as our advisor on the podcast, so our audience could learn a little bit more about what's in store for this year. So first off, thank you for joining us. Appreciate you taking the time. I'll have you go around the room, introduce yourselves. Why don't you, if you would, just give us your name and then maybe talk a little bit about your role in Off-Broadway Players, how long you've been involved, what you do as part of this performance. All right. Sarah, do you want to start for us?
Yes, of course. I'm Sarah O'Brien. I'm in 10th grade. I joined OBP my freshman year, and I have acted in these previous 3 productions. This is my first time with a sort of like leadership role, and I'm also in crew. I am one of the student head of script writers for this show. So me and a few others helped to write the script and like tie all the songs together in a storyline.
Fantastic. Thank you, Sarah. Marissa, how about you?
Hi, I'm Marissa Bertos. I'm a senior in OBP. I'm also the membership coordinator of OBP. I have been since my junior year. This is my 9th production with the club, and I'm a soloist and actor.
Great. Welcome and thank you. Ava.
Hi, my name is Ava McGurk. I have done OBP since my freshman year. I've been an OBP officer since my sophomore year, and this year I am OBP's executive officer. In the cabaret, I am an actor/soloist.
Fantastic. Thank you. And last but not least, Ash.
Hi, I'm Ash Zimmerman. I'm a senior in high school. I've been doing OBP since I was a freshman. I've done both acting and I've done stage crew. But for the past 2 years, I've been doing a lot of work for OBP's promotional stuff.
Wonderful. And I said last but not least, but I forgot one person, Miss Monroe, our advisor.
Hi, I'm Nicole Monroe, and I advise the OBP Club. I direct and produce the productions that we do. I teach theater here as well as English in a class called Rock and Roll and a writing class. And I've been here. This is my 3rd year at Averill Park and running the club.
Excellent. Thank you all for joining us. As we look to this performance show, it's a little bit different from my understanding in terms of the format, especially over maybe more of a traditional musical, which we brought back and have done the last couple years. Maybe Nicole, you can kind of walk us through like what this format is, how you came about to doing this, and kind of set the stage, no pun intended, for the audience.
Absolutely. So we met in the fall. Actually, I believe our meeting was on open house day. So early in the school year, I met with Mr. B, the band orchestra teacher, and Miss Elishuk, who is our new choir teacher this year. And we started talking and planning for the musical because this is a this involves so many more people than a traditional show that doesn't include music. So everyone needed to kind of have their hand in it. And we talked about the amount of people that are in band currently and in orchestra, and whether that was really going to work with a traditional musical, because we at Averill Park have a live pit. So we need to pull from our students that play. We do hire some outside musicians as well, but primarily this is made up of student players. So we realized that we didn't have the instrumentation available that is in most musicals. We just didn't have those players available And it would have been really difficult for us to pull off. We did look at a few musicals, and we probably could have made them sort of work, but we realized that a better way to go about it would be to do a cabaret show, not the show cabaret, which that's kind of confusing, but this is a cabaret show that's made up of different songs from other shows. And this was really just going to be our performance, a cabaret performance where students were going to get up, do their song, and then kind of go back. And so that's what we decided on, and that will allow for a smaller pit. It's a little bit more flexible instrumentation wise. And so we did that, and we put it out to OBP and put it out to the school and said, if you'd like to sing a song, like audition with the song. And we went through auditions. But as if you know me and you know our club, we don't do things in a small way really ever. And so we came to the conclusion after we cast it that maybe we could do a little more with this. Maybe it can be more of a traditional musical, and we can pull in a storyline. And so I asked the cast and the crew, and I said, what do you think about that? Do you want to do that? And I said, if we want to do it, let's get together, let's assemble a writing team. And immediately I had members of a writing team, very small writing teams. Sarah was like three people most of the meetings. They wrote through the entire holiday break, which I was so surprised to see. That was so great that they could do that so that we can have a script by the time we came back from break. And they created a complete script and storyline that encompassed every character, every person that had a part in the show, and they tied it together. They sent me the script. I tweaked it just a little bit. And we're kind of doing a little bit of tweaking now, even just to adjust lines to make sure that it tells the story we wanted to tell. And now what we have is kind of akin to something called a jukebox musical, which is a show that is made up of songs from other shows, but it has its own storyline that ties everything together. So we've created this. We will own the script for this, which is really cool. And then we will also get to hear some music from some amazing shows like Rent, like Les Mis, Mean Girls. There's about 10 shows that are the songs that we are using. So it's been growing, like this. We don't ever do anything in an easy way. We're like, how can we complicate this? But we did it, and everyone just rose to the occasion. And now we have this amazing show.
That's fascinating. I mean, that's a lot of work to get to this point.
Yeah.
Really interesting journey to get to this point in terms of the different steps and how it evolved over time. Thank you for that. Going to our students with that background, then it sounds pretty challenging. What would be some of the most challenging aspects of trying to tie this all together into one storyline?
Well, for me, for the writing, I think the most challenging part was probably like separating the original backstory of the song from what we wanted the backstory to be. Like when you listen to a song from a musical, you know the context of the song, like what the character's feeling, who they're singing to, and all of that. But we kind of had to separate the lyrics from that context and create our own context, which was pretty challenging, but it was definitely fun to make it up.
And from an acting standpoint, it was definitely interesting because normally when you audition and you're cast and you know your role, you have this character and you can look at the original and you can read the script right off the bat and you can start working on your character. But it was interesting to build your character as like you had a part in building your character, and then we got the script and you're kind of the first one to do it. So you get to make it from scratch, basically.
Yeah, no, there was so much unknown like going into this, which can be scary. But at the same time, we're all a bunch of theater kids. So it's like, I don't know, there's just so much creativity and there's so many places that you can take your song and character that it wasn't before. And I think that's like the best part of it.
That sounds completely phenomenal, actually. That's really cool. I will admit I didn't have all that background. I knew bits and pieces of the story and how you were putting it together and how it was progressing. But when you hear you talk about it, that's really, really cool. And if I understand correctly, this time around, we have a parent volunteer who has been working with you on marketing and promoting. And that is even a little bit different, I guess, to your advisor's point about we don't do things easily and are always kind of looking to expand things. This, from what I understand, is also very different and kind of non-traditional. Ash, I believe that's your realm.
Yes, that is. Yeah, so it's very different this year. We've always had a promotional manager in the past, but it's always been just kind of student driven, where the student makes posts on Instagram and puts posters around the school, and that's mostly it. But this year, especially because since this is entirely student written, like we're talking about, and it's entirely original, there's some challenges in terms of the promotional world where no one knows what this is. So we're trying to get around that by pushing and expanding our sphere of who this gets out to. So I've been working with Miss Wendy Craney, who has experience in promotional work, and we've been really trying hard to reach out. We've been doing press releases. We've been emailing other districts. We've been putting more information out there where we're reaching out to other communities and other businesses. So we spread the word, and we're promoting it we're putting the student written part at the forefront of it in the Jukebox musical, that it takes in so many aspects and it turns it into something new and original. So it's more than just like a random unheard of musical. It's a new musical that you might enjoy. So it's been fun working with that. It's been a bit challenging, but it's been a fun challenge.
Again, that's really interesting. That is a cool way of now you having to spin what you do based on all the other spinning that's happened as this has evolved. Can you talk about the different roles that are included in this production, as well as just maybe a traditional musical on stage, behind the scenes, for any of our folks who are listening who maybe have a child of their own who's interested in this world, but maybe they don't know a ton about it or the opportunities that exist in a group like OBP? Can you kind of talk through what are the different roles? You all kind of are doing a very different part, from officer to actor to writer to marketing. Can you kind of talk through some of that?
Yeah, there are so many aspects of the club that's even just outside of the show. The club as a whole, there's the officers that will work on theater opportunities and getting other people involved. And then in a show, you obviously have your actors that are on stage, but backstage, you also have a lot of opportunities if your kid is not someone who likes presenting themselves on stage. You can do running crew. There's a costumes manager, props manager. There are so many aspects of getting involved, both on stage and behind stage.
Lighting, sound, stage design. There's so many opportunities, and we're always growing and making more as we realize there's a little area where we need a new person to oversee it. We're always adding roles and
yeah, because we've never had a writing crew before, and that's a new position that has opened
it's
up.
a totally new role.
You can also double dip a little bit. You can be like a costume manager, but also maybe be also an actor on stage. You can do promotions and also be an actor, do promotions and be a stage crew person who runs sets. You can build sets. You can do so many things with the club, and you can do so many things at one time and really just help make a show a show.
That's fantastic. I think it's a great message too, because I think everyone's got a preconceived notion of what something like this is, but there's just so many aspects. There's no way you could realize all of the different opportunities, or like you said, Ash, the combination of things. You can kind of dip your toe in a few different worlds, and especially if you join early, kind of figure out maybe, year 2 or year 3 or year 4, you kind of find a path that you've kind of carved out. So, or like Sarah said, a brand new thing that didn't exist last time. What do you think the audience is going to love most about this? I mean, it's definitely different. What do you see, if you were kind of the elevator speech of promoting it? What do you think people would love if you had 30 seconds to sell someone on why they should come?
I think they're going to love the originality of it, but also it's original in its way of taking things that already exist and turning into something new. You're taking shows like Monroe mentioned earlier with Hamilton, Les Mis, Rent, shows that people already love and know about, and turning into something new. You have a new plot, the plot is also about high school, so it's relatable in some extent. It's about drama that happens in high school theater, so it's fun, it's relatable. It has music everyone knows and enjoys, but with something new to it. It adds a new feeling to it, a new enjoyability to it.
Yeah,
great.
I completely agree. I've had several teachers come up to me because they've seen like the cast list with the songs that we're doing, and they're like, "Oh my God, that's so cool! Tell me when your show dates are, and I'll be there."
There's a little bit of everything. So if you like more contemporary musicals, we have some of that, but we also have some classics, and it's very broad in what we're doing.
Yeah, I might be a little biased also, but I think there's a lot of amazing, very like powerful, very characters that have a lot of personality. And we have some like stereotypical characters from like high school, or we have some like more outgoing like characters. I think it's great.
Sounds good to me. The last question we tend to ask on the podcast, especially when we have students, is what advice would you give to someone who's maybe middle school or elementary school, or a parent, as I said, who's listening, who has a student who's going through the district, about joining OBP? Maybe they're not so sure. Maybe they don't fully understand it or know what's out there. What advice would you give to someone who might be thinking about this?
I would say, to, as hard as it is, just kind of take the jump, put yourself out there. There's so many things you can do, like we've said before, that we're always looking for more people. We're always looking for new interests. So we don't turn anybody away. There's so much to do that we couldn't. So put yourself out there, audition if you want to try it. But if you're nervous, maybe you can audition for a supporting role or a smaller role. Like, just dipping your toe in it a little bit will show you how broad the opportunities are. And there's a lot you can do with it. So I would say just go for it. But I understand how difficult that is.
This is sort of off topic, but I swear it all connects at the end.
Okay.
In my women's lit class, we did this I believe statement, and it's this essay, and it talks about how something that you strongly believe in with like your full heart. So I wrote about how everyone should try theater at least once in their life. It did have the deeper meaning of like just putting yourself out there, and like not just about theater, but just making yourself be known to the world. I remember crying freshman year at my first audition. I got in there, I looked at them, and I just started bawling my eyes out. But I kept going, and I kept putting myself out there, and I think it was really worth it in the end.
Yeah.
And just to add to that, we have an OBP club, which meets after school when we're not in the middle of performances and rehearsing for performances. And that club is something you could just show up to. There's no we take attendance, but there's no like admission or, you don't have to have signed up at a certain date to get in. And so you can play some improv games, meet some people before you even decide whether you want to get involved. And it's going to be the same people that are in a lot of the shows or that are involved in some way in a lot of the shows. And I also teach two acting classes. Well, one is an acting class and one is an intro to theater class. And that's another great way to get your feet wet with theater. You come, if you want to do performance, you would take that class. You have to take intro. That's the prerequisite for acting. And you get a little bit of performance, a little bit of set design experience, a little bit of script experience. So that's a great way during the day to have like a really nice place to try some things out. And often I will use those classes to help with whatever show we're working on as well. So for example, my acting and intro classes came in to paint sets the other day during class. So we really do try to incorporate this as an entire, kind of a whole thing. Like we are all one, we have one mission and we're doing it in lots of different ways. We're doing it during the day. We have after school things. Sometimes we'll have things on Saturdays if we can. So there's lots of ways that if you're not quite sure, if you feel ready to do this, that you can do it in a really low like a low impact way, like it's not, the least scary way possible. Because theater can be scary, like you're thinking you're in front of a lot of people, but it's not always the case. And there is a place for everyone. If I could say anything about this club, we are inclusive. We really want you here. We want you to show what you can do. And everyone has something they can do. We have students that want nothing to do with acting. They want to hammer nails. And that is what they come and do, and they do it well. So we are so lucky to be able to just have everyone that wants to be included.
I'll say, kind of similar to what Miss Monroe said, just like try a bunch of things in the club. Like, you never know what you're going to like. Like, I never thought I was going to be an actor. When I came in freshman year, I thought I was going to be crew or costumes or something, but I love acting now. And it's just try a bunch of different things, see what you like. Like, you never know where like you might find your thing there.
Yeah, they pretty much covered all of it. I've jumped around a lot in what I've done in OBP. Like I said, I've done acting, I've done stage crew, I've helped build sets, I've helped run sets, I've been in the actual shows, and I'm also running promotions. So like they've been saying a lot. Just kind of dip your toe in, try new things, and you'll find something that you like. I have.
Great advice, right? Get out of your comfort zone a little bit and give it a try. And it is definitely a group that is open and accessible and provides many opportunities.
One great thing that we are also doing with this show is we are going to be live streaming the show. You have the availability. We're doing that also as a fundraiser. So you have the availability to buy essentially a live stream ticket on GoFan. And you can watch this show from home, but we are also live streaming it into our school library, where we are providing a low stimulation room for anybody that attends the show, where the pit band might be too loud or just might be a little too chaotic for some viewers. And so we're going to provide a room and also could be an overflow room if we sell out, where we're going to live stream. It's actually going to be in the library, and we're going to have some fidget toys in there, and we're going to run the live stream in that room, so that if, sometimes you bring a child and they get a little upset during the show and they might start crying, and then you have to kind of go out in the hallway. This is a great room to bring your child in, because the room is still streaming the play. And so you can not miss any of the play, but still be able to take yourself out if you feel like maybe it's like a little too overwhelming for someone, or if it's a little too loud. And this is a new thing that we're doing this year, and I'm really excited about it.
Thank you for a few minutes here of your time. I think we're all pretty excited about this performance. I think the more people learn about what the end product is going to look like and the journey to get there, I think it's just going to make people even more interested and more curious about how this is going to all play out. It'll be great. So thank you again, and break a leg on the 6th, 7th, and 8th.
Thanks for tuning in. Be sure to subscribe to our podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen. See you next time on Every Student, Every Day.